think I made one of my greatest investments of all time, bro. The UDO Super Gemini 20 voice dual layer polyphonic binaural analog hybrid synthesizer with super wave technology, bro. This is really like the modern CS80. This is one of my craziest purchases I've ever made, because without y'all, this would not be possible. Shout out to everybody in the community, because like you guys are the only reason I'm able to do stuff like this, you know? So I really appreciate y'all for real. Like we really got to build the community to the top. And of course, you know, I got y'all with some sounds, you know, give me a couple months to learn this. I got a couple samples that I want to break down that I made with this yesterday. So yeah, let's get straight into it. And yes, I am gonna have a video where I cook up with the Super Gemini from scratch. I would do it in this video, but I feel like it would just be better if I had like a fully dedicated video to just me cooking up from scratch with the Super Gemini. My desk is looking crazy, bro. If you want to see that, don't forget to subscribe, bro. Yeah, I'm saying it early this time. All right, let's get it. So I don't really have any MIDIs to show what I played in except for the piano, because mostly everything in the sample was just very simple chord progressions. Very first sound I started off with. Very basic sound, anybody could play that A minor scale. So the second sound I got, one of my favorite features on here, is pretty much just the same chord progression layered under it, but I was using the pitch wheel, the ribbon knob on the synth. I think if you guys know about the CS80, you know the CS80 has that type of ribbon controller on the top where you can change the pitch just by sliding across, and I think that's really dope. So next thing I did was I added another texture underneath with more of that pitch sliding. And once again, I'm about to put y'all into some sauce. If y'all ever use Keyscape or you don't have enough space for Keyscape, you want to get rid of Keyscape, Pianotech 6 Pro, really crazy. Definitely a replacement for Keyscape. Has a lot of different pianos, harps, bells, mallets, strings, everything, all in Pianotech. So here's what the MIDI sounded like. Like I always say in all my videos, it is way better to try and play the keys the best you can. So I played all this in. You don't got to worry about velocities. Everything's more realistic. You don't got to strum anything. It's just a way you don't got to worry about strumming anything, and it's just a way better way to make your samples feel more dynamic and realistic, like there's some actual non-robotic movement to it. But after that, all I did was I rendered this out and then I pitched it up an octave. So it's gonna have that very high pitched type of sound. It's gonna shift the timbre of the piano because you just pretty much just raise the pitch all the way up an octave. And then when you put the sound shifter on it, when you go down like 4, it's gonna give it that cool vintage texture. So next thing I did was I got these bass strings out of SoundPaint, and this is the pattern I came up with. Last thing I added just to make this sound even crazier was these vocals right here. Yo, bro, where you get those vocals from? Don't worry about it, bro, alright? Don't worry about it. So this is the second section of those vocals. Got some Portuguese. Ouço tua voz
dentro deste quarto sem.
Bro, please, bro, the vocals, bro, please. Nah, don't worry about it, alright? Next, we just gotta go on, bro. We gotta move on. I can tell by the waveform that this was the bass. So this was also really basic. Dun, 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 dun. And then on the second part, all I did was I just used the aftertouch, and you can kind of hear the bass like just kind of like going weird, crazy, just fading out. You can also hear the pitch shifting at the end. I was pressing the keys a little bit harder, and then I used the pitch bend just to go down another octave. Sounds pretty unique. So then next thing I did was I just messed with the sound design until I had another type of synth preset. So it's pretty much the same sound, I just went up an octave and I just played some chords in. Hey, Super Gemini, the modern CS80. You're gonna notice a lot of the things I do with the Super Gemini is messing with that pitch bending. It just sounds really crazy, I ain't gonna lie. But this was also just the same preset. I just want to play one more counter melody on top of that and then do something like some cool pitch bending with the ring mod. And I just want to do a bunch of modulation just to make it sound more unique. So here's how that whole section sounds without the vocal. So that's pretty much it for this entire sample. It just starts with this piano section with the vocal, then it goes into the synth section, and then it just goes back to the piano again. I'm gonna play the final sample again, and then we're gonna move on to sample 2. Really peaceful, very melodic. This is the first sound we got. So 2 very catchy ideas. Second one low-key sound like some Minecraft. I was just actually messing around the scales, and I ended up coming up with these 2 separate ideas. And then this Minecraft sounding section. And I was like, that'd be really crazy for a sample, so I just put both these together. These go throughout the entire melody. Under that, I found another chop from the entire recording, and I just put it underneath. And make sure y'all turn on that generic bleeding so it doesn't have that popping. I just be like forgetting sometimes, so if you don't want that popping in your samples, make sure y'all turn that on. Next thing I added was a counter melody underneath, doing a lot more of that modulating and pitch shifting again. I got this cross mod, which is pretty much kind of like a ring mod. I don't know exactly what it's doing entirely, but I just added that as a texture underneath. So I feel like the bass is what really makes this entire sample. This is what that sounds like. Pretty simple. This definitely makes the entire melody. The bass is sometimes the most important part. So next thing I added was another ear candy. This kind of plays every once in a while throughout the sample just to make it sound a little bit more unique. So next thing I added was another counter melody lead just to go on these last couple bars. So I feel like this lead was more of like a resolving type of sound before it goes right back into the beginning of the melody. So the last thing on the melody I added was another one of those cross mod textures. I don't know why this reminds me of like, I don't know if y'all ever watch He-Man or like even those early 2000s, 1980s type of shows, but this is what this kind of sounds like. Sound like one of those like lasers or something. Last thing I did was I had to throw some drums on here. It was more of like those in the moment things. I was like, you know what? This sample needs drums, bro. And here is the final beat. This is the third and last melody I'm gonna break down in this video. Hey, don't forget, drop a like, subscribe if you made it this far, please. You know, we gotta grow that channel, bro. I don't know if we're gonna make the 10K this year. I think we can, maybe. Still got time. We got. Oh wait, we got like 3 bucks. The simplest melody in this entire video. So first thing I started off with was this lead. A little bit of a catchy melody. So then next thing I added was these chords. I'm gonna say is once again shout out Rolling Sampler. I wasn't even recording when I played that, so I actually had to just go get that. I'm telling y'all, if y'all ever forget recording, bro, Rolling Sampler will save the day every time. Next thing I added was this piano out of Piano Tech. Y'all can see this is pretty much the whole chord progression throughout this entire melody. So for the next sound, all I did was I took this sound and I turned up the portamento, and if you don't know what that is, it's just a way of gliding notes to each other within the chords. So it's not one note, it's like all of them gliding to each other. The next thing I did was I added these 2 sounds underneath that. I don't know what the aftertouch was doing, but it was doing like some weird effect when I was pressing the keys harder. I have no idea what that is. Then I just got another pad to accent the second part. Same 2 chords. Then just to add a little bit of variation, I just added this counter melody lead. Last things I added was this bass out of SoundPaint, the CS80 bass, and I got these drums to kind of act as a perk loop in the background. Probably should have turned the bass up. I don't remember it being this quiet though. As for the master, I don't know why I have to keep turning it off when I render the final melody, but I had some retro tape. Y'all can copy the settings here. And then I used a Moger Foger cluster flux, which is pretty much just a chorus. I used the default preset and I just turned the mix down a little bit. It's the most simple melody. This is what the final sample sounds like. Hey man, I don't know too many producers doing a 3-piece cook-up one video. You know, I hope y'all learned something new. I feel like somebody definitely learned something from these 3 different samples. If y'all did, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe. We gotta get to 10K by the end of the year. Is that possible? I think it's possible. Yeah, and let me know what y'all want to see next, what videos y'all want, what kits y'all want. Just let me know, and I'm gonna catch y'all in the next video. Peace.